start up. So I finally cut the hayfield. This one and then a little bit down here. So Wade, while I was cutting, he was trying to help me rake it up. Make good big piles, okay? Yeah. That is a big one, yeah. It's actually quite chilly this morning. I got chilly bumps actually. But the wind's blowing. Yesterday was the first day of fall here in or I guess everywhere really, right? But here in South Carolina, it was like 98 degrees. It was horrible. The end of the day came and blew in a good little cold front. So right now it's nice and crisp. We are loving it. So got the grill fired up, of course. So to touch on the subject of, other than the fact that how do we cook and eat the meat we raise, how do we go about it? How do we disconnect ourselves from the fact that we spend so much time with our animals and we spend time moving them on new grass, feeding them, and making sure that they're healthy just so we can turn around and butcher them, right? And it comes down to the fact that, like, it's not easy. I mean, not at any point. Whenever Charlie and I dispatched the pigs, I mean, it wasn't, it's not like it's fun. It's not like we're out there having a great old time and, you know, shooting pigs. It's not. Even when I kill a deer, it can be hard because you're taking a life. And taking a life is never easy. But you have to understand too, though, we do it for our children. We do it for ourselves. We spend time with the animals. We nurture them. We raise them so that we can then butcher them and use them to feed our families because we know what goes into it. We know what they're eating. We know that they had a lifetime of good moments and then one bad moment. And then it's done. And then they continue to feed us and nurture us, and we continue to raise them. It can be difficult. And so we started out with the meat birds, of course. Chickens, for some reason, are a little bit easier to kind of wrap your head around butchering. So my recommendation is that if you're going to start, I would start with chickens. So we had a grill malfunction. I don't know, and it only happens when I'm trying to cook something for a long amount of time, but I just started it. So it's not like it's been cooking for a couple hours. And like sometimes, you know, in the little box, I don't know if you do know, but sometimes in the little pellet box in here, the heat box, it'll get a lot of dust in it and it can back up a little bit, maybe get too smoky. But I just cleaned it out before starting. And then the auger, I don't know if it stopped or what, but then some of the chips on the inside of the auger started catching on fire and I had a big mishap. So I had to clean all that out, try to get it fixed. I literally just started, so I don't understand why I did it, but oh, the joys. But we got it fixed, and now we're back to cooking, and just keep an eye on it. I tried to do some other things, but we'll make sure we keep an eye on it. We don't get too, that way it happen again. That would not be good if all that caught on fire, because then I have no more grill, and Traeger has yet to sponsor me. Go to people's farms. Go to a butcher and see how it's done. Learn how to do it. I'm wearing my hand-hewn farm shirt because they taught us how to butcher pigs. And it was a great time. And so now we know how to do it the correct way. And that's important too, is that you don't want to just go into it and not really know what you're doing. You want to be able to do it right way and so that the animal doesn't suffer. And that's probably the most important thing. You don't want them to suffer. We raise animals and we give them a good life because we care, because we want them to have a good life, and because we want good, fresh, healthy meat. I know a lot of homesteaders and things are, excuse me, I got like hair on my nose. A lot of homesteaders and people are like be self-sufficient. Like, it's all about self-sufficiency. I don't believe that. It's super difficult to be self-sufficient, and people do it. Don't get me wrong, but when you're just starting out, like I am, look at this. You know, I put a brush right there behind Oki for you to do that. So I should try to get out. She's the one that will open that. Crazy woman. So like I said, being self-sufficient. I lost where I was. Being self-sufficient for people starting out is very difficult. So don't. And this goes back into some other stuff that I'll talk about. Like, don't go too fast. Like, take your time. Take your time with the animals. Like, start with the chickens. We got excited because I got influenced by Charlie, and we got the pigs a little too soon than we should have. I was able to do them, and I was able to raise them properly, and because I was getting spent grain from my buddy. So I had opportunities to not spend a lot of money. First off, we were meant to be stewards of the land and do this. This is what God intended for us to use the land. You're raising animals on your property. You're using those animals. Hopefully you're rotating. Like, say you're starting with the chickens, and you can even do it with the pigs. And if you have enough property with the cows, hopefully you're rotating them on pastures and grass, and you're healing the land with them and using them to leave a better earth for our children. Find people who ethically raise meat and purchase from them. Support them, because that's better. That's better. Even if you can't raise your own meat, find someone who can help you, or you can help them. Do a co-op where you can, I don't know if it's called a co-op, but like if you have a friend who has property, help them. That's how we did our meat birds the first time. So we set the grill about 225, 250, and we're gonna cook that butt low and slow. So how we prepared the butt, it's a pork butt. Did you know, and y'all might not know this either, did you know that the pork butt that we're about to cook, it's called a Boston butt, isn't even a part of the pork's butt? It's actually its front shoulder. Yeah. And the reason it's called pork butt, or reason it's called Boston butt, is because way back in the day, so they would just put it in these barrels. And now it's one of the best meats that we eat. Little tidbit of information for you there. But I rubbed the pork butt down with mustard, which is a binder. You know what a binder is? Basically, it just holds the seasoning on the meat. You're not gonna have to really taste that mustard or nothing. You're mainly gonna get a good crust on the outside from your seasoning and stuff. So when you break it up and mix it together, it's in there. Then I use my Kinder's wood fire garlic. She was going at that fence. I use the Kinder's wood fire garlic seasoning, put it on there, and the most important part, not most important, but one of the very, very important parts, is letting it rest before even putting it on the grill. And so that's what that salt and seasoning is going to actually let that meat sweat out and then actually absorb, go a little bit further into the meat. This is how I eat the pork that we raise. We just wrapped that butt in foil, and this is like the point where you really could shut off the grill because it's wrapped. I mean, that smoke that you see now is not going to penetrate the meat. It's more now just about getting it up to temperature. We're gonna cook it to about internal temperature, about 206 degrees. So you could even like heat up your oven and put it in there and save your pellets or wood or whatever you're cooking with and stuff like that. But honestly, this is still a part of it. I like being outside. So we got the probe in there, and we're watching the temperature and everything. So yeah, I can't wait for that thing to come off because it's got some good. It's already got some good bark on it, and I hope it turns out well. I do believe though, when it comes to the kids, and like we're raising the animals and stuff to help support them and give them a better life and better food and stuff, but one of the most difficult things I feel is not just our disconnect from the fact that we need to butcher these animals, but the kids understanding like what we're doing and while we're raising the animals and stuff. So whenever our children go down to the chickens often to get eggs, play with them and things like that. Now when we had our meat chickens, I told them, I said, listen, these chickens are my chickens. I take care of them. Like, I didn't ask them to feed them or move them or water them. It was my responsibility. Now when the time came, they did help us butcher them. So it's they didn't have that connection with them that I did. And of course, again, like chickens to me are a little bit easier, like an introduction animal for home butchering. Now the pigs, the kids did help with the pigs, and that was their own choice. The you know, how I was working and stuff, they helped feed and water them. They enjoyed petting them and stuff. So when it came time to butcher them, when we got them, they understood. They understood, hey, these are for eating. My kids are 9 and 5 now. At the time, they were 8 and 4. So they had an understanding of what we were doing and why we were doing it. So they knew. But when the time came for us to dispatch the pigs, they weren't around. They were inside and not a part of that process, because that's not something I needed them to see at this age. Now, I see that. And so now, I mean, like, and that could be taken two ways. That can be controversial. Some people are like, no, you need to let them see it, or you did the right thing. I mean, I don't know. So our choice was not let them see that. Now, they did go with me to take them to the butcher, and they saw them hanging on the rack and how much they weighed, and they were part of that, because it's very similar to when we skin a deer. They are with me when I'm skinning the deer. I let them help. They put their hands on it. They try to help me, skin it. So there's just certain levels of where I want them to be in this part of our journey that I'm going to like protect them from in a sense. I'm not gonna let them see everything, but I'm gonna let them decide if they want to be a part of something. So Wade, we went to Roots Refuge one day, and they were butchering some chickens, and he had his hand all up in the chickens, like he was helping. And when we did ours, he did the same thing. Zoe was a little different. Zoe didn't want to be a part of that part. She's a little bit more soft-hearted and stuff. So we didn't make her. I'm not going to make her do it. I'm going to let her choose. I'm not going to force them to make a decision that might ultimately change how they feel about this whole thing. So that's it. The kid part can be difficult. But like I said, we just made them. Wade's my little outdoors boy. He's doing our hay. Stealing most of the hay. He said, this is my pile, and he said that's his pile. Well, the Boston butt is finished, mostly. So we put it in our cooler. First we keep it in the foil, keep wrapping it in a towel. I put it in a cooler. We're gonna let it rest for about an hour or so. Now, I know there's a big controversy about like vinegar based, mustard based, or ketchup based. Honestly, I like barbecue, so I'll try it all. So I'm not really sure what I'm gonna use on this yet. This is actually, I've cooked this not for us to eat right now, but I cooked it so we could take it over to Jess and Jeremiah's this weekend and enjoy it with them. So I'm still gonna taste it though before we go anywhere with it. Of course, you gotta taste it and make sure it's good. So. I don't know if you saw that. That bone came out very, very clean. That's what you want to see when you cook a bone in, and you pull that bone out and it's that clean. So of course it's very hot right now.
That the pork butt?
Yep, this is the pork butt. It's very hot right now, so I'm gonna let it cool, and then I can start shredding it up. But I am going to take a bit. Oh, that's gonna be delicious. Don't even need sauce. The juice and everything. That pig, so good. And for that reason also is how I can eat the animals we raise. Because the meat is delicious. It has a great flavor to it. I know exactly what it went into. I know exactly how I did it. And so that's the main thing, is knowing exactly what goes into it. I think the most important thing about raising your own meat is getting to enjoy the end product of eating it. What sucks right now is the fact that I have tasted this pork butt and it tastes amazing. And I just want to gobble it up right now. But I want to also share it with friends. So I'm going to just pull it apart like it needs to be, put it in a container, and enjoy it tomorrow with friends. So I appreciate you hanging out. We'll catch you next week.